So, you're thinking about going wild camping? Brilliant idea. Before you head out though, you're going to want to plan your trip so that everything goes as expected. In this video, I'll cover all the essential things that you should do when planning your first or just your next trip. I go over the safety, travel, law, briefly mention kit, and some essential tips at the end. Let's dive in. It can be overwhelming to know how to plan your first trip and even where to go. Pick somewhere that isn't too difficult to reach, but is just outside of your comfort zone. You want to go somewhere that gives you a taste of wild camping but won't kill you. Don't go trying to spend the night on Ben Nevis for your first camp. That would be an absolute disaster. Aim for somewhere between sea level and 500 above it at its max. Personally, I would advise on the lower end of that scale because generally speaking, the higher the elevation of where you want to go, the more you're going to have to exert yourself and the better rated kit you'll need. But forgetting the kit that you need for now, let's focus on how you'll get there. If you drive, it's fairly obvious that it's going to be easier for you to get closer to locations that you want to go. However, if you don't drive, your best option is going to be public transport. Now, you can use Google Maps to plan your journeys, however sometimes it can be unreliable and it might throw off your journey. Personally, I would advise you both use Google Maps and this app, National Park Journey Planner. National Park Journey Planner is completely free and allows you to get a really good idea of the different buses and trains that you can get to go to the location that you want to go. It's a great pick mixed in with Google Maps because it gives you a little bit more perspective and it can keep your eyes open on the options that you've got when you're travelling. Check it out. Alongside all of the travel information I've gave you, here's some extras. I got these leaflets from the Aberfoyle Visitors Centre and they've gave me such a massive insight into some great information for when you go wild camping. For example, there's the Trossachs Explorer bus, which is a fantastic way to get around between Aberfoyle and Callander. Alongside this one is the Exploring and Camping in Your National Park leaflets. Now, you can find all of this information online, but I think particularly for those who are beginning wild camping, these are a great resource. They talk about water safety, fire lighting and general rules like the Scottish Outdoor Access Codes and respecting the environment. They're a fantastic resource and I'll link them all in the description below. That being said, your location can heavily determine the kit that you need, particularly when you start to involve elevation. Generally speaking, for every 100 metres that you climb in elevation, you lose 1 degree centigrade. So for example, if the temperature at sea level sits at about 10 degrees centigrade and there's a mountain nearby that sits at 500 metres tall, the temperature on that mountain is going to be 5 degrees centigrade compared to the 10 at sea level. This can make a huge difference depending on the season and temperature outside. That being said, what kit can you actually buy to fit a wide range of needs while sticking to a budget? If you're looking to get the right kit for your trip, it can take a lot of research to find what's right for you and your budget. You can go to my last video, which is linked in the description and the pop-up up above for a complete breakdown of all the kit you need while also sticking to a budget. I go through your sleep system, cook kit, footwear and some essential extras. Give it a watch if that's what you're looking for. I've put myself in quite the predicament filming this video because there's midges absolutely everywhere. And yet, literally yesterday, my missus bought bug wipes and they're sat in the house, unopened. Safety is the #1 priority when you go out. You don't want to get hurt, injured or worse. To combat and absolutely minimise anything going wrong, the ideal solution would be a satellite communication device. Without complicating things, these two-way communication devices essentially allow for you to let your family or friends know about your well-being and your location. Most of these devices also have an SOS button, so in a more severe or life-threatening situation, you have the option to press and hold this button and it immediately alerts emergency services. It doesn't just let them know that you're in distress, it lets them know your exact location. Something like the Garmin InReach Mini 2 or the Bivy Stick are great options. These devices are the absolute perfect solution for navigation and communication. They don't require any cell service but instead rely on a satellite network called the Iridium network. This satellite network essentially allows you to roam anywhere in the world and still be in touch with a set list of contacts that you've chosen and emergency services. The effectiveness of the technology in these devices is nothing short of mind-blowing. However, attached to that is a big price tag. As of recording this video, the Garmin InReach Mini 2 costs around £290 and the Bivy Stick sits at around £250, and that's not including the monthly subscription fees. Each device has a range of packages for the satellite networks, but it's all down to personal preference if you do decide to go this way. Realistically though, not everyone can afford the big price tags and the monthly subscriptions for these devices, and while that does have its setbacks, it doesn't mean that you can't go out and still enjoy the great outdoors. The first alternative is checking your cell provider's cell coverage map, particularly in the area that you want to go. You can do this through a simple Google search. Just search up your cell provider's name and look for the cell coverage map. Now usually these services have a search bar that you can input a location or a postcode of the rough area or exactly where you want to go. These maps give you a good idea of the availability, the strength and the coverage of the service that you can get. After you do this, you can head over to an app like What 3 Words and mark waypoints with your emergency contact to let them know of your well-being and how you're doing at that location. If you're unfamiliar with it, What 3 Words has essentially divided the whole world into 3x3 metre squares. In each of these squares, they've attached a unique 3-word name for that square. So if I picked any square across the entire world and I read you the 3 words that were in the name, you would be able to find that exact spot that I was telling you about. Now the great thing about this is the fact that emergency services uses this app. So take for example, if I was stuck at this random spot by Loch and I picked this square, magically period clay, I would be able to tell any emergency service that I was able to get my hands on, this is my location. This is the exact 3x3 metre square that I'm at, and they would be able to locate me. Now the fact that emergency services do actually use this app and are able to locate any set location across the UK is absolutely phenomenal. It's a fantastic resource. It's absolutely free to download and it's really easy to use. And alongside that, when you've got your waypoints set with your emergency contact, the both of you can refer to the same map and understand the route that you plan on going on. This app could be the difference between life and death in a bad situation, and the only unexpected things we want to happen is to realise that we've got an extra bit of chocolate left over, or we wake up to a nice sunrise. The laws in your country around wild camping are incredibly important to be aware of and follow. Here in Scotland we have to abide by the Scottish Outdoor Access Codes. Scotland is hands down one of the best countries in the world for camping and outdoor law. The Scottish Outdoor Access Codes essentially grants us access to anywhere that's outdoors in the country. Generally speaking, wherever you can walk, you can camp, as long as it's not in someone's back garden, for example. The responsibility that then comes with the Scottish Outdoor Access Codes is that we have to follow a rigid set of rules, particularly the leave no trace rule. This refers to the responsibility that the camper has. When they go out and camp, they're required to leave no trace, as if they'd never been there. Everyone who uses the outdoors in Scotland is expected to essentially leave it as they found it, or better if possible. That means hiking out any rubbish that you have, including toilet roll, even if it's biodegradable. Whatever you do when you're out camping, don't leave toilet roll. We all have to do our business. Dig a hole, bury it, but don't bury toilet roll. Don't throw toilet roll into the environment, even if it is the biodegradable stuff. You can use either a Ziploc bag and double bag your waste, or hike it out in some other sort of waterproof bag. A Ziploc bag's usually the best option because it's cheap and you can bin it when you get home. Just whatever you do, clean up after yourself when you go out camping. That leads me into fires. The Scottish Outdoor Access Code, generally speaking, advises completely against any open fires, but if you absolutely have to do it for some reason, it has to be supervised and it has to be done responsibly. However, any open fire that you have, wherever possible, don't burn deadwood. Standing deadwood is particularly bad to burn for the environment. It's all fair and well if you make a mistake, but you have to try and make yourself very aware of the policies and the laws before you go out. If you don't, you're kind of setting yourself up for something to go wrong. But if you're aware and you respect the environment and you leave no trace, you're following the Scottish Outdoor Access Codes to a T. Now generally speaking, these are the laws in simple terms, but I recommend that you go down in the description and you read the Scottish Outdoor Access Codes for yourself and try and understand them to the best of your ability. As for England and Wales and their wild camping laws, I highly suggest that you check out the Black Belt Barrister's video down in the description. He does a fantastic job at explaining the laws, where it's acceptable to wild camp, and the conditions. He explains it far better than I ever could. Give it a watch if that's what you're looking for. As simple as it sounds, pitch your tent on flat ground. I made the mistake of not doing this on my first wild camp and I woke up at the bottom of my tent. I've pitched the tent on a slope, slightly, tiny little bit, so I'm going to wake up and probably be down here. The easiest way that you can tell if ground's flat enough is just by looking at it, but if you're unsure if the ground's level enough, but you know the ground's dry, just lie down on your back and you'll be able to tell straight away. Secondly, replace the tent pegs that came with your tent with some sturdier, lighter ones. The tent pegs that came with your tent are known to be made of softer metals, and they are actually quite heavy. They bend under pressure a lot easier than some of the lighter, cheaper tent pegs on the market, like these ones I got from Amazon. These were about £9 and they came in a pack of 14. If you do decide to buy them, make sure you buy enough. Anything will be better than those silver tent pegs that came with your tent. Most people will probably know this, but for those of you who don't, like myself, who had to find out the hard way, if you're ever eating food that's in a tin while you're out camping, don't cook it in the tin. I found out after having done it 3 times that if you cook food while it's in the tin, toxic plastics and other chemicals get leached into the food that you're about to eat. If you do it over a long period of time, it can cause adverse health effects. So consider what you're cooking in, like a simple pot or a frying pan. I'm the perfect example of why you shouldn't do this. You can see me doing this in some of my previous wild camping videos, and now every time I think about it or watch any of those clips, I cringe. Don't do it. Packing your bag is just as important as the kit you put in your bag. Make sure you pack the heaviest stuff closest to your back and the lighter stuff around it. That way it keeps your centre of gravity as natural as it can be with the weight on your back. If you pack the heavier stuff around the lighter stuff, you're going to find that you're tipping backwards, and you particularly don't want that if you're climbing up or hiking elevation. Keep the heavy stuff close to your back and the lighter stuff around it. Also, separate your kit either using black bags, which is a great budget friendly option, or dry bags. You might want to do this because if you're in some heavy rain or a bottle bursts in your bag and leaks all over your bag, your kit's still protected. These dry bags, for example, cost between £5 and £10. They're a good budget friendly option, and more importantly they're reusable, so they're better for the environment rather than the one-time use black bags. But if you can't afford them, black bags are fine. Just try and get as much use as you can out of them. It's always important to consider how much water you want to take with you, or if you want to source your water, where you'll source it from and how you'll treat it. We're really lucky here in Scotland to have the fresh water that we do. You can probably drink from most outdoor sources, but it's better to be safe and treat your water where you can. An alcohol stove might be a good option for you, also as a part of your cook kit to take with you. It's light, cheap and fairly effective. That's it for this video. If it was helpful, consider leaving a thumbs up and even subscribing to the channel. You can see my camping playlist over here and my beginner playlist over here. I'm Wild Camping Adam, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.